Good day, math enthusiast. Welcome to TLC Math Made Easy. In this video, I will be discussing about the laws of radicals. So sit back, relax, and let's learn together. At the end of the session, you should be able to derive the laws of radicals and apply these laws in simplifying radicals. Let's take a look at the given table. Given is the value of x, and we have to find the x squared. Remember that x squared means x times x. X squared is equal to x times x. So for example, if x is 1, then to get x squared, that means we have to multiply 1 and 1. So 1 times 1 is equal to 1. How about when x is equal to 2? What is x squared? Alright, x squared is 4. That is 2 times 2. How about when x is 3? That's correct. X squared is 9, or 3 squared is 9. And when x is 4, then 4 squared is equal to 16. How about this one? We have to get the cube of the given number. Let's say x is 1, then what is 1 cube? So, 1 cube means 1 times 1 times 1. And 1 times 1 times 1 is equal to 1. How about when x is 2? 2 raised to 3 means 2 times 2 times 2, and that is equal to 8. How about when x is 3? Alright, the answer is 27. And when x is 4, then we get 4 times 4 times 4, and that is equal to 64. This time we'll reverse the process. The given is the number being squared, or the square of a number, and you are to look for that number being squared. Say for example, given is 25. X squared is 25. So what is that number being squared? We'll give an answer of 25. Alright, the answer is 5, because 5 squared, or 5 times 5 is equal to 25. How about 36? Alright, the answer is 6. Why? Because 6 times 6, or 6 squared, is equal to 36. How about 81? Right, 9 is correct. And how about 144? What is that number being squared? That will give 144. Alright, the answer is 12. Why? Because 12 times 12, or 12 squared, is equal to 144. How about the cube of a number? Given is the cube of the number, and what is that number being raised to 3? Let's say given is 1. What is that number? Alright, the answer is 1, because 1 times 1 times 1, or 1 raised to 3, is equal to 1. How about 8? Alright, the answer is 2, because 2 raised to 3, or 2 times 2 times 2 is equal to 8. So therefore, the answer is 2. How about 27? Alright, the answer is 3, because 3 raised to 3, or 3 times 3 times 3 is 27. And how about 125? The answer is 5. The reverse process of raising a number to the nth power is finding the nth root of a number. Consequently, the reverse process of squaring a number is finding the square root of a number. So let x and y be real numbers. So if y squared is equal to x, then y is the square root of x. If y cubed is equal to x, then y is the cube root of x. And if y raised to n is equal to x, then y is the nth root of x. So the nth root of x can be written in symbol as nth root of x, wherein n is what we call the index, and we have here the radical symbol or the radical sign, this one, and the expression inside the radical symbol is what we call the radical. So let's have some examples. Find the square root of 100. So how do we write that in symbol? So square root of 100 can be written as square root of 100. So the square root of 100 can be obtained by finding two equal factors whose product is 100. So how is that? So square root of 100 is equal to 10. Why? Because 10 times 10 is equal to 100. So one number that can satisfy the equation is 10. Another number that can satisfy the equation is negative 10. Why? Because negative 10 times negative 10 is equal to 100. So we call the positive root, so positive 10 and negative 10, we call the positive root the principal root. The cube root of 216. So how do we write cube root of 216 in symbol? So in symbol, cube root of 216 is this. So what number which when multiplied by itself 3 times will give a product of 216? So the answer is 6. Why? Because 6 raised to 3 or 6 times 6 times 6 is 216. Therefore, cube root of 216 is equal to 6. By the way, there is no square root of a negative real number, or the square root of a negative real number is not a real number. Like for example, square root of negative 49. No number which when multiplied by itself will give a product of negative 49. So square root of negative 49 is not a real number. Is this understood? Next, let's have number 3. Find the fourth root of 81. So fourth root of 81 in symbol is this. So what number which when multiplied by itself 4 times will give a product of 81? Can you guess what that number is? Alright, the answer is 3. Because 3 raised to 4 is 81. Or it could also be negative 3 because negative 3 raised to 4 is 81. There are laws of radicals which would be of help in simplifying radicals. So let's have to take it one by one. The first law of radicals states that for each real number x, nth root of x raised to n is equal to x. How is that? To understand it better, let's have some examples. So simplify cube root of 5 raised to 3. So by the first law, since the exponent and the index are the same, then the answer would be equal to 5. Why? Remember, when we write the given in an expression with rational exponent, cube root of 5 raised to 3 in an expression with rational exponent can be written as 5 raised to the exponent 3 all over the index 3. So, cube root of 5 raised to 3 is equivalent to 5 raised to 3 over 3, or that is simply equal to 5 raised to 1. And 5 raised to 1 is equal to 5. So, therefore, cube root of 5 raised to 3 is equal to 5. Next, 6th root of 2 raised to 6. So, what's your answer? Alright, the answer is 2. Why? 6th root of 2 raised to 6 in an expression with rational exponent is 2 raised to 6 over 6, and 2 raised to 6 over 6 is 2 raised to 1, or simply 2. And we have number 3, square root of b squared is equal to b. One important rule of radicals that would be of great help in simplifying radical expressions is shown in this illustration. Square root of 36. Can you give me a number which when multiplied by itself will give a product of 36? Alright, the answer is 6. Why? Because 6 squared is equal to 36. So therefore, square root of 36 is equal to 6. But square root of 36 can also be written as square root of 4 times 9. 4 times 9 is 36. And square root of 4 times 9 can be written as square root of 4 times the square root of 9. And square root of 4 is equal to 2 times square root of 9, that is 3. So 2 times 3 is equal to 6. So square root of 36 can be also written as the square root of 4 times 9, because the answer will give, or the result will give, the same answer. So the second law states that, or the product rule for radicals, if x and y are real numbers, then nth root of xy is equal to nth root of x times nth root of y. For examples, square root of 9x. So by applying the product rule for radicals, we can write this as square root of 9 times square root of x. Now, what is the square root of 9? Alright, the answer is 3. Square root of x is already in simplified form, so we can write that as 3 square root of x. So square root of 9x is equal to 3 square root of x. Next, fifth root of x squared y cubed. So let's apply the product rule for radicals. We can write this as fifth root of x squared times fifth root of y cubed. Next, square root of 50. Can you think of a number or two numbers which when multiplied will give a product of 50, wherein one has a square root, exact square root? Alright, square root of 50 can be written as square root of 25 times 2. 25 times 2 is 50. Square root of 25 times 2, by applying the product rule of radicals, we can write that as square root of 25 times square root of 2. Square root of 25 is 5 times square root of 2. So therefore, square root of 50 in simplified form is 5 square root of 2. Number 3, cube root of 81. Can you give me factors of 81? 1 is a perfect cube. Alright, the answer would be 27 times 3. 27 times 3 is 81. So we can simplify that by having the cube root of 27 times the cube root of 3, or separating the two factors. So we have cube root of 27 is, what is that number? Alright, the answer is 3, because 3 raised to 3 is equal to 27. So therefore, cube root of 27 is equal to 3 times cube root of 3. This cannot be simplified anymore. So the answer is 3 cube root of 3. Last one for this. Fourth root of 48x raised to 5. So the strategy in simplifying radicals is to find the factors that are perfect and powers. Then use the product rule for radicals. So fourth root of 48x raised to 5. So what is the highest factor of 48 that is a perfect and power? So that is 16 and 3. X raised to 5. So factor x raised to 5 such that one of the exponents is divisible by the index 4. So that would be x raised to 4 times x. 16 times 3 is 48. Why did we use 16? Because 16 can be written as 2 raised to 4. That is 16. So therefore, fourth root of 16 is equal to 2. X raised to 4 times x is equal to x raised to 5. Why did we use x raised to 4? Because this is the highest exponent, or 4 is the highest number divisible by the index 4. So we have to simplify now this. Fourth root of 16 times fourth root of 3 times fourth root of x raised to 4 times fourth root of x. So 4th root of 16 is 2. Remember the first law for radicals. 4th root of x raised to 4 is simply x. So there is no more 4th root for 3 and x. This cannot be simplified anymore. So we just copy that. 4th root of, then multiply 3 and x. So 3x or 4th root of 3x. So the simplified form of 4th root of 48x raised to 5 is 2x, 4th root of 3x. Next, can you give the answer for the square root of 36 over 9? So there are two possible ways in simplifying this or finding the answer of this. One would be by dividing 36 and 9. So 36 divided by 9 is 4. So square root of 4 is 2. Or another way would be by getting the square roots of the denominator and numerator. So square root of 36 divided by square root of 9. And square root of 36 is 6. Square root of 9 is 3. And when we divide 6 and 3, we get 2, which is the same as this. And thus, the third law of radicals, or the quotient rule for radicals, states that if x and y are real numbers, then nth root of x over y is equal to nth root of x over nth root of y. Examples: square root of 25 over y. So to get the answer, we separate the two. We get the square root of 25 over the square root of y. So square root of 25 is 5 over square root of y. There will be a separate video lesson in simplifying radicals wherein the denominator is a radical. There is a law in radical that a radical is not yet simplified when the denominator contains a radical. But for now, we will stick to this answer. Next, number 2. Square root of 9x raised to 4 over 4y squared. So we separate the two. We get square root of 9x raised to 4 over square root of 4y squared. And by the product law, or the product rule of radicals, square root of 9x raised to 4 can be written as the square root of 9 times the square root of x raised to 4, and square root of 4y squared can be written as the square root of 4 times square root of y squared. So square root of 9 is 3. How about the square root of x raised to 4? Remember, square root of x raised to 4 can be written as x raised to 4 over the index 2. And when we simplify that, we get 3x 4 divided by 2 is 2 over square root of 4 is 2. And by the first rule, first law of radicals, square root of y squared is equal to y. So therefore, the answer would be 3x squared all over 2y. Number 3. Cube root of m raised to 7 all over cube root of m raised to 4. We can write this as 1. We have cube root of m raised to 7 over m raised to 4. And by the quotient law of exponents, we can write that as cube root of m raised to 7 minus 4. We copy the base and subtract the exponents when we are dividing expressions of the same base. So we have cube root of m, 7 minus 4 is 3. And by the first law of radicals, cube root of m cube is equal to m. How about number 4? So we can write this as 128 x raised to 3 y raised to 5 all over 2x y. So we can do this when we cannot simplify each radical or the numerator and the denominator. So 128 divided by 2 is 64. So by the quotient law of exponents, x raised to 3 divided by x is x raised to 3 minus 1, and y raised to 5 divided by y is y raised to 5 minus 1. So we get square root of 64, x raised to 2, y raised to 4. And by the product rule for radicals, we have to separate its square root of 64 times the square root of x squared times the square root of y raised to 4. So we have square root of 64 is 8, square root of x squared is x, and square root of y raised to 4 is simply y raised to 4 divided by 2, exponent divided by the index 2. So this becomes y raised to 2. So we have y raised to 2. So when we divide square root of 128 x cubed y raised to 5 by the square root of 2xy, we get 8xy squared. I hope that this is clear. And the last law of radicals would be illustrated by this. Square root of the cube root of 64. Can you give me a number? What is the cube root of 64? A number which when multiplied by itself will give 64. Alright, the answer would be 4. So cube root of 64 is 4. Square root of 4. And the square root of 4 is equal to 2. Or by writing the given in terms of expression with rational exponents, square root of cube root of 64. Cube root of 64 can be written as square root of 64 raised to, this is understood to be and to have an exponent of 1 over the index 3. So we have 64 raised to 1 over 3. And square root of 64 raised to 1 over 3 can be written in expression with rational exponents as 64 raised to 1/3 raised to 1/2, the index 2. And by the power to a power law, when we are raising a number to an exponent and again raising that expression to another exponent, we just copy the base and we multiply the exponent. So we get 64 raised to 1 over 6. So 1 times 1 is 1 and 3 times 2 is 6. And 64 raised to 1/6 in radical form is 6th root of 64. And can you give me a number which when multiplied by itself 6 times will give an answer of 64? Is there a number which when multiplied by itself 6 times will give an answer of 64? Yes, the answer is 2. Why? Because 2 raised to 6 is equal to 64. So 6th root of 64 is equal to 2. So therefore, cube root or square root of cube root of 64 is equals to 6th root of 64. Is there anything that you have noticed? Alright. So, we just multiply the indices 2 and 3. 2 times 3 is equal to 6. So, square root of cube root of 64 is just the same as the product of the indices. So, 2 times 3, the root of 64. So, 2 times 3 is 6. So, we have 6th root of 64. The fourth law states that the nth root of the mth root of a number, or the in symbol, nth root of the mth root of x is equal to n times mth root of x. So we just multiply the roots. So for example, cube root of 4th root of a. Alright, so we have to multiply the roots 3 or the indices 3 and 4. Then we copy the radicand. So 3 times 4 is 12. So we get 12th root. So 12. Root of a. Next, 5th root of the cube root of 2x. So what is your answer? Alright, the answer would be 5 times 3. Then we have 2x. So 5 times 3 is 15. So we have 15th root of 2x. Is this easy? Yeah, I hope it is easy. Now let's have some exercises to know whether you understood each law of radicals. So apply the laws of radicals to simplify each. Square root of 121b. So you have 10 seconds to answer. Is your answer square root of 121 times square root of b? Or square root of 121 is 11 square root of b? Is your answer 11 square root of b? Yes, if it is, then you are correct. How about number 2? 5th root of 32y raised to 5. Alright, 32 can be written as 2 raised to 5. So we can write that as 5th root of 32 times 5th root of y raised to 5. Since 2 raised to 5 is equal to 32, then 5th root of 32 is equal to 2. And by the first law, 5th root of y raised to 5 is simply y. So your answer must be 2y. Did you get that? Very good. Next, square root of 27a raised to 7 all over square root of 3a. Alright, so we can write this as square root of 27a raised to 7 over 3a. 27 divided by 3 is 9. And a raised to 7 divided by a is simply a raised to 7 minus 1. So we get square root of 9a raised to 6 and square root of 9 times square root of a raised to 6. So we get square root of 9 is 3. Square root of a raised to 6 is a raised to 3. Number 4. Alright, since we cannot simplify 11 over 125, then we can write this as cube root of 11 over cube root of 125. So, cube root of 11 is already in simplified form. All over cube root of 125 is 5, because 5 raised to 3 is equal to 125. And last one, 6th root of the square root of x. Alright, by the fourth law of radicals, the nth root of the mth root of a number. So we just have to multiply the indices. So 6 and 2. So 6 times 2 is 12. So we have 12th root of x. I hope that you learned from this video, and thank you for watching. I hope that you don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. Thank you and God bless.